Welcome, everybody. Council meeting deferred, I believe, I recall, folks, from last Tuesday's snowstorm, and we just finished the Frosty Festival snowstorm, which is nice. The festival, that is, not the snowstorm. And we'll go from there today. So big congratulations to staff, especially Director Dolomont, you and the folks in Public Works, and support from other departments, including municipal enforcement, for getting us through 50 centimeters of snow. And maybe I'll ask you later on, sir, for an update on that and where we are and where we're going. But before we do, let's adopt the agenda. I need a motion, please. Moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Fry. All in favor? And those opposed? Carried. Thank you. In recognition of the City of Mount Pearl's commitment to foster respectful and collaborative relationships with Indigenous peoples in the City of Mount Pearl and beyond, we hereby acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the ancestral, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. Mount Pearl and the broader metro region continue to be home to diverse Indigenous peoples, including First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. All right, moving like. Minutes are there from the last public meeting, which was held on January 13th. Is there any errors or omissions, please? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion moved by, thank you, Deputy Mayor Kiley, and second by Councillor Antle. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And we've adopted those minutes. Council, is there any business arising? No proclamations, no correspondence. We're going to go right to committee reports. We have Corporate Services, Councillor Antle.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I got my microphone on, so things are working out well. Now it's time to pay some bills. And first one here is our invoices for approval, and these are dated for January 23rd, 2026, and the total is $462,959.39. And if you look at your kit, there's a couple, there are large ones. That's probably where we're paying our regional services. One of them is the tipping fees for the Robin Hood Bay, and that's for $51,000 and change. And another couple there for our Transportation Commission for our buses, our Metrobus, for $119,247.59. The rest are there in your kit, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Antle, and I believe that was you, Councillor Locke, that seconded it, right? Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
And now it's our payment register and purchase card information report, and this is for your information only for the time frame from January 7th to January 21st for $1,114,208.77, and a purchase card report from the date of November 26th, December 25th, Christmas time, 2025, for a total of $528,088.40, and that's in your information only. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll move forward to number 3. This is our tax deferral. All right, and this is something we take advantage of every year. In your kit, you can see this. These are tax deferrals, not tax elimination. Is just a deferral, and any resident can apply for this if they wish. And they're there in your kit there. There's 16 or so, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Antle again, and thank you. Second by Councillor Locke. It's pretty well according to policy. Any questions, Council, otherwise? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Contraminded? And that's carried.
And now, this is professional development, and it's always something good that we do here in the city, and we're quite proud of that. You know, the more training, the more information we can gather, the better we can help our citizens. And this is the approval for Director of Recreation, Jason Collins, to attend a sports event, which is always great here in the city, for a sports event in Mississauga, Ontario, from March 10th to 12th, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Locke, moved by Councillor Antle, seconded by Councillor Locke. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. And opposed? Carried as well.
And moving right along. Yes, this is for an assessment review commission. This appointment. This is ongoing. The department recommends approval to be granted in accordance with Section 32 of the Assessment Act to appoint Donald Peckham as our city's assessment review commissioner, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Antle again and seconded by Councillor Locke. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. Thanks.
And that's it for me, Your Worship. Now I'll pass it over to Public Works. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're moving on to Public Works. Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have some interesting stats here that I just want to share with you guys. Below here are the Public Works Department's collection and water usage statistics for 2025, and it's really fascinating. Here in Mount Pearl, our residential garbage was 6,444.12 tons of garbage. That's just residential. Residential recycling was only 587.22 tons, which is significant, but you know what? We can do better in this. Bulk garbage for the 5 zones from May to July of 25, we collected 275.39 tons. Residential yard waste, now this is from May to November of 25, we had 168.32 tons. And I'm going to take this opportunity to remind residents to use the paper bags. When the yard waste is in paper bags, it doesn't cost us anything. But when it's in plastic bags, we have to pay the rate as we would for regular garbage. And regular garbage cost about $992 for household and $27 for recycling. So there's a big difference when you can save money there. Textile diversion, we have 5 locations, and that's the clothing drop-off that we have. So for people who don't need clothes anymore, you clean out your closet. Instead of putting it in regular garbage, bring it to one of these textile diversion locations. We collected 83,794 tons of clothing, and we saved that from the landfill, which is great. Now, for our water statistics, of course, this was a hot topic over the summer when the water levels at Babel's Big Pond were low. Our water consumption for the year of 2025 was 4,184,607 cubic meters. And it's important to note that the city of Mount Pearl hit a record low for yearly consumption in 2025, with 9 out of 12 months being lower than the previous year in 2024. This is the lowest yearly consumption since prior to 1991. So residents were doing their part. We also hit a record low for the average daily consumption, which is 11,465 cubic meters per day on average in 2025. Now, from a regional perspective, the city of Mount Pearl has dropped from being the second highest consumer of water amongst all of its regional partners back in 2019 to the 4th highest consumer of water in 2025 on a percentage basis. So well done, Mount Pearl. Well done for the water consumption. We just need to bring up our recycling a little bit more and save a bit of money there, and we're good to go. So that's it for our statistics there. I'm just going to get into the next item on our agenda. And that will be our Public Works status report. So I'm just going to give you an update on what our Public Works team have been doing. And they have been a little bit busy over the last 48 hours, we'll say. I am having trouble getting into this here. Can I borrow yours? I'm locked up. Thank you. I think it's me. She passed it over and it disappeared.
Why don't I get Mr. Dollamont to talk about the effort the last 24, 48 hours while you,
Great idea.
okay, Director, it's been a challenging 48 hours. In effect, 2 storms. I know my weary bones feel all the efforts, but staff, how the staff doing and how's the equipment holding up?
Well, yes, so definitely the past 24 hours to 48 hours, our crews have dealt with a lot of snow. Somewhere in the vicinity, I've heard everything from 50 to 60 centimeters. I think the officially number is at low 50s. Our gear is holding up well. We have a full staff of mechanics that are keeping everything running as required, with our full shift on of equipment operators and laborers. That shift started yesterday morning. We'll continue to keep everybody going until all this is cleaned up. So right now, we've had 3 big blowers that are doing blowback on most of the main drags and the sidewalks to open those up. We have crews doing snow removal around fire hydrants. Of course, that's a critical part, to say the least. We have, we'll continue to do that cleanup as required. And amongst all that as well, we've had our trail groomer out today because, of course, there is a lot of people that enjoy it, the beautiful snow and avail of that services for sure. And we'll continue to keep going until this is cleaned up, and cul-de-sac removal and all it'll happen as we progress in the next couple of days.
Sounds good. Yeah, and our compliments, not hearing very many complaints, but that's not necessarily the measure of success, but we've gotten through it. I guess my question then becomes, when will we be ready for the next storm?
When will be ready? It all depends. I know we're supposed to get some more snow later part of this week. So they're not saying much now. I think there's much smaller amounts. But I anticipate with the snow we have now, and if we never had any more snow, it's going to be at least another week, probably closer to 2, before everything is cleaned back to our expectations.
But the Frosty Festival will go on, right?
Yes, indeed. And we have crews involved with the Frosty Festival as well.
All right, good stuff. Thank you very much, by the way. Great update. Councillor Fry again.
Back to me. So as I was saying, we have just an update on what our crews have been doing, and they have been very, very busy. Our roads division, the winter shifts are underway, and snow clearing and snow removal and ice control is required, as Director Dollymont just talked about. Our outdoor rinks are open, and they're great, so go out and take a look at them. Bring your skates. Parks. Yeah. Parks Division, trail maintenance is ongoing, and tree windfalls and cleanup. Of course, with high winds, we lose some trees. The Fleet Division, ongoing service and maintenance on all city vehicles. And our UTM division, we have general calls, of course, water and sewer repairs, leak detection, lift station inspections and maintenance. And as you can see in your kit below, the water levels of Babel's Big Pond as of January the 19th are very healthy. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to move over to recreation. I'm going to call upon the Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. And for recreation, while recreation is constantly busy, constantly doing things, I only have one decision note today. Now, of course, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Frosty Festival, part of my when we do a roundtable. But for the decision of council tonight, I have one item, and it's the release of the first installment of the 2026 Admiralty House Museum operational grant. So just to give you context, of course, the City of Mount Pearl provides an annual operating grant for the museum to support ongoing programming, exhibitions, and administrative options. For 2026, the museum has submitted a request to receive the first installment and of the approval of the annual grant. And of course, we are going to, with regards to the recommendation put towards council, we recommend that the council approve the release of the first installment in the amount of $57,500 to the museum in accordance with this city's 2026 budget allocation for operational grants. And I so move.
It is moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley, and thank you, seconded by Councillor Lane. Admiralty House doing a good job over there. I'm always wondering about attendance numbers because I'm a numbers guy, but I think we'll look at that later on in the year. So any questions, Council? Deputy Mayor Kiley.
Thank you. Not so much a question, just a comment. And in relation to the museum, just want to always advertise and always identify an organization that does significant work around not only museum heritage, but they have incredible grounds such as the Arts Annex that you can rent out, and the Association for the Arts of Mount Pearl that run in there. But they themselves also, just for your FYI, if you're a Girl Guides troop or if you're a Scouts group, there's many social programs that can be in attendance. And so when we think about today, we think about the safety plan that we released today, and a lot of questions is like, well, what does wellness have to do with safety? And that's where we're looking at a holistic preventative look. And so anytime I see things like arts or museums or sports or those sort of social integrations, that's what we're talking about for holistic work. And so there's a lot of work that we're doing now. There's a lot of work that's ongoing, but I would be remiss to always identify or highlight any of the programs that we're putting out there in the committee. And that's all for me, Your Worship.
Any other questions before I call the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you, and carried. Thank you. Community Safety, Councillor Lane would like to follow up on the delivery of our community safety plan. Over to you, Councillor Lane.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm very excited about our community safety plan, and I was really happy that it was released today to the public. It's definitely been a collaborative effort between feedback from members of our community, the working group that has had participants from various groups, including 2 members of council, involvement with the schools through their administrators. When we talk about community safety, we really have to get feedback from our residents. And it's great that we've been able to get so much feedback so far and be able to finally put this into a working document on what can we do to make our city the safest that it can be. But we're always looking for more input and more feedback, because without the residents coming to us and sharing their concerns, then we're not able to include it. So I definitely encourage residents to continue reaching out with anything that they feel could be a part of this plan. And I'm definitely proud that we are able to present it today, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the impacts of this plan going forward.
Yep, thank you very much. I think we're all going to talk about it in the roundtable, so I'll defer any further conversation if that's okay with council. And with that in mind, we're going to move over to engineering. Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Worship. We have some important items to bring forward here tonight for our engineering department. The first one is our engineering services for a sanitary sewer study. So the city issued a request for proposal seeking professional engineering services to conduct a sanitary sewer study. The purpose of this project is to develop an accurate sanitary sewer model to assess following flows within each segment of the sanitary sewer system in the city, evaluate the impact of increased flows from new development, and identify areas of high inflow and infiltration to support efficient planning for future capital work projects. Remedial upgrades and growth from new development, and the scope of this work consists of investigating the city's sanitary sewer network right now and creating a model and providing recommendations for providing upgrades. So the consultant will deliver a written report detailing findings and recommendations and provide training to the city engineering staff for this model. So the committee recommends, I want to just make one point on this actually, that we secured competitive pricing to the public RFP process and the results in submissions from 5 engineering consulting firms. So following the investigation of all this and the review of each stage from each consultant that applied, the committee recommends that the council approve awarding the contract for engineering service for the sanitary sewer study to Stantec Consulting Limited in the amount of $313,231.25, HST included. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Rice, seconded by Councillor Antle. Any questions? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
Thank you, Worship. The second one we have here is our is our engineering services for geotechnical assessments of city streets. Just a little bit of background, this one, the city issued a request for proposal for professional engineering services to conduct a geotechnical assessment of city streets. This project aims to collect subsurface data at key locations around the city, evaluate pavement and subgrade conditions, identify and prioritize problem areas, and develop recommendations for future roadway design to support rehabilitation, reconstruction, and long-term capital planning. The consultant will work with engineering and public works staff throughout the project and deliver a comprehensive report detailing findings and recommendations. So basically, the completion of this investigation will be beneficial for the city. Identifying poor soil conditions, high groundwater, and other subsurface conditions that impact the condition of the city streets prior to construction will reduce the likelihood of unexpected site conditions, schedule delays, and the cost overruns, especially the change orders during the construction part. So the recommendation from the committee recommends that the council approve awarding the contract to InGlobe in the amount of $114,890.75, HST included, for engineering services for geotechnical assessment of city streets. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Rice, seconded by Councillor Antle. Any comments, questions? I'm going to ask the director just to explain a little bit, if we could, why we're doing this and what the payback is. I think it's beneficial. It's a bit like the community safety plan. You won't necessarily see results overnight, but you should in the long run. Director.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, that's a good question. And we all too often are reactive when it comes to road upgrades and capital infrastructure projects. And we want to get ahead of it because we all know that the cost of asphalt and road upgrades are only escalating. And we want to make sure that what we put down there is right for its intended purpose. It's not a one-size-fits-all for every street or roadway. So we want to get ahead of this, come up with a better strategy for performance-based pavement structures so they last longer.
So the thinking is we're going to change the municipal spec.
So right now, all of our projects are based on the details found in provincial municipal spec. But similar to St. John's, we're leaning now more towards a performance-based spec, so we'll have our own details to reference going forward.
So are we saying there's something been wrong with the municipal spec, or why wouldn't everybody take this approach?
There's nothing wrong with the municipal spec, but what it is, it's a one solution for all scenarios, which isn't entirely correct. That's fine for a smaller municipality that need to rely on those types of details for that don't have engineering in-house and things like that. But for us, we are continuously investing in road upgrades. We just want to make sure that what we put there is suitable for the location, the subsurface conditions, and the type of traffic. So it may result in a thicker pavement, a change in the subgrade or the gravels, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's going to increase the useful life.
Sounds good. I thank you. And Councillor Rice, any questions, council, before I call the motion? Hearing none. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? That's carried. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Worship. Our last one is our information notes, capital works update. In engineering, for information, for the attention and consideration of council and the public. So we got the Farrell Pump House upgrade. Construction is ongoing. Our 2025 concrete works construction is 90% complete. Work to resume in the spring 2026. Our White Boulevard upgrade construction 60% complete. Work to resume in the spring of 2026. Our sewage lift station, which is on Mount Carson Avenue, construction ongoing, 70% complete. Jackman Drive upgrades, construction to begin in the spring of 2026. Our water tower access road, construction to resume the first quarter of 2026, weather permitting. Our water storage tank design build, construction to start February 2026, weather permitting. And Glencoe Drive culvert replacement, construction is 95% complete on that project. Final tidy up in the spring of 2026. And our T-Rail crossing, Commonwealth Avenue construction 50% complete. Completion expected in the spring of 2026. And it is our report, Your Worship. Thank you very much.
Oops. Thank you very much. We're going to move to planning and development. Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. The first one here has to do with an application that the city received from a company called Shared Tower Incorporated for a proposed 25-meter-high telecommunications tower to be located at 35 Clyde Avenue in our Donovan's Park. Under our development regulations, this falls within the light industrial use zone and is classified as a discretionary use. And of course, as council knows, this requires public consultation prior to council making any decision on this. And then once council makes its decision, it'll be forwarded to the Federal Science and Economic Development Canada, ISED, formerly in Industry Canada, for their consideration. And because it's discretionary use, as I said, and requires public consultation, we went through the protocol, Mayor, that we ordinarily follow. We did have 2 emailed submissions, and they posed a series of questions with respect to the environmental impact, any impact on birds, concerns about land values of any residential business properties and the like. And all of these were answered by staff. The 2 respondents also indicated that they would attend a public briefing session that we had on Tibbs Eve, and I and several of my council colleagues attended that. Unfortunately, the 2 respondents didn't attend that briefing session, but it was still very fruitful from my perspective because the proponent gave a background to this and brought me some comfort that when I think of a 25-tower telecommunications piece of infrastructure, this one is pretty sleek. It's white, it's tall, it blends in with the environment, and they addressed all the concerns that the residents raised in their inquiries. So the committee is recommending approval of this discretionary use application, again at 35 Clyde Avenue for a telecommunications tower, and the issuance of a development permit, and in accordance with our federal regulations, a letter of concurrence subject to the development meeting all applicable regulatory requirements and conditions, including those established by Innovation, Science, and Economic Development Canada, and of course, our very own Department of Planning and Engineering here at the city. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Locke and seconded by Deputy Mayor Kiley. Thank you so much. I just had to check my list and saw a hand wave in there. Appreciate that. Any questions or concerns? It's really not our authority. It's just that we've given the green light. It's like Monopoly, right? You go to the next base or the next wherever, but it's going to go on to the federal government, and I guess they'll take that into account. The good part is we need telecommunications in today's world. There has to be a tower somewhere.
Yep.
And I think you folks, department, did a good job at the briefing session and in the analysis of just identifying the need and very little disruption, it seems, from a community perspective in that, right? And I know you love the fact that the tower is basically a pipe, as opposed to some of the more gaudy looking ones, if I could say.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion. Anybody contra? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item here is a very exciting one. It has to do with some amendments to our municipal plan and our development regulations with respect to the former swimming pool site down on Stapleton Road. And this rezoning is a furtherance to the city's objectives under the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund program. And of course, that is designed to expand, grow Mount Pearl's housing supply. We all know we need more housing here in Mount Pearl for various homeowners. And this is a part of the, as I said, the Housing Accelerator Fund, and it'll remove barriers and support the development of affordable, inclusive, equitable, and climate resilient community. So as such, in order for us to undertake this, we made application under Section 15 of the URPA, Urban Rural, thank you, and Planning Act. Thank you, Councillor, our Director Collins here. So we made the application to that, and of course, that has been recently released from the provincial review, which is great news. So then that gives us the authority under Section 16 of the Urban and Rural Planning Act to move forward and adopt the municipal plan amendment and the development regulations. And the amendment to the municipal plan is to redesignate properties at 173, 175 to 177A Park Avenue, and 3 Stapleton Road. We're going to redesignate those from open space to residential. And then the amendment to our development regulations will be rezone these spaces from open space and medium density to residential high density. So that's the purpose of our amendments here. And as such, it's recommended that council approve the following 3 resolutions: that the City of Mount Pearl adopt the Municipal Plan Amendment number 29, 2024, and the Development Regulations Amendment number 77, 2024. Secondly, that the city appoint Mr. Ernest Boone as the independent commissioner to preside over the public hearing that's required for this. And the third is that a public hearing be held at Mount Pearl City Hall on February the 26th, 2026 at 7 p.m. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Locke, second by Deputy Mayor. This is the removing the totality, but there really is 3 motions embedded in all of this. Comments, questions? We have Councillor Antle, please.
It's great to see this moving forward. You know, I mean, it's a great amendment. I'd like to see Mr. Boone as the independent commissioner. He's certainly well qualified. I have been talking to many residents on Stapleton Road in that area, and one of the concerns were, how will they be notified? It's the residents of Davis Place, Penmore Drive, and Smallwood Drive. Can we ensure that these people are notified? And even though they're not into that radius, but they would like to be notified to show up and have some discussion. Thank you.
I'm thinking we would invite those people that left contact information at the briefing session for sure, but will that capture it, Councillor Antle? Because like all of Penmore, I'm not sure, like Penmore reaches a little further away, but I don't want to be the one that judges how far you go.
I'm after talking to many residents, maybe other councillors, the same thing. You know, even as far as the Santa Claus parade, I talked to residents there, and, you know, they said, when is what's going to happen? And, you know, this is a good development, and I think we need to get community input. But I wanted to make sure that as many residents as possible can get, right? And, you know, Penmore Drive and Davis Place both back on that, and same with Smaller Drive. Thank you.
I'm looking over at our Director Mullins. We're probably going to do some social media engagement as well. I'll come to you in a second, Councillor Reyes.
Yeah, so starting tomorrow, you'll see notice of the hearing actually go out in multiple locations. So it will be on our social media, on our webpage. It'll be in the newspaper in the Shoreline, and it will also be a sign down here in our front lobby. So in terms of communicating it out in terms of the date, time, and location. So that will start tomorrow.
And Director Batt, we have the contact information from the briefing session to ensure that those people will get invited again. Yep. You or Councillor Rice? You
Just
go-
one follow-up and then I'll, but some residents in that area mightn't have Facebook. So is there any way we can contact them through a mailer? Well, you know, by saying their names, I wouldn't, but it's most of the people, if they're not, or they're not on internet, maybe they mightn't have access to a website. So can we drop off a flyer in the neighborhood? Or is there a way that can be done?
Yeah, we can certainly work with you, Counselor, if you have names that we want to pass along.
Yeah, you're trying to avoid being too selective, but you do want to. So I think what Councillor Randall's saying, can we increase the 150-meter radius? And perhaps you could determine what that would be. We've got 2+ weeks to do it and expand it to 200 meters to be objective in terms of what we capture. CAO, what do you think?
I just think we have to take it away. We understand the request to expand the scope. I will also encourage any residents who do have questions, as Director Mullins just pointed out. It will also be advertised in the Shoreline. It'll be on the city's Facebook page. It'll be publicly available in our lobby. We can expand that into other city facilities as a notice, and we can look at expanding geographical reach. What I wouldn't want to do is hand select certain streets not based on a certain rationale. So yeah, and absolutely. So, but we absolutely take the feedback, understand that there is a vested interest from the neighborhood on the project, and it's in all of our best interest to ensure it's appropriately communicated. So we'll take that away, absolutely.
Thank you. Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Worship. This has certainly been a work in progress over the past number of months on this one. We did have a hearing on it before. So I certainly support this 100%. Any housing we can get in the city is certainly a plus for the city and a plus for the residents here and anybody else that wants to move in from outside the city. But contrary to what people think, I mean, we're not putting footings in the ground down there tomorrow. This is just a process we had to go through for rezoning, because I know Councillor Antle had some calls on it, and so did I. They're open to come up to that hearing, and there's nothing. We're just rezoning the area and moving forward the process of getting development down in that area. So hopefully we have some positive feedback now from everybody coming up and get some much needed housing in the city. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, let's adopt the 3 resolutions. All in favor? Aye. And those opposed? And that's carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The last item for me is the occupancy permit listing for January the 8th to January 22nd of 2026 for information purposes. You can see those outlined there, and if there's any questions, we'll certainly strive to answer those. None? That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Busy day. Let's do a quick roundtable, and I'm going to start tonight with next in order. Councillor Antle, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was going to pass, but I want to talk about our community safety plan. We launched it this afternoon, and I think it was wonderful, and we talked about it for quite a while. But one of the things that I heard Councillor Locke say, it takes a village. And I think that's what we got to focus on. It's the whole community to keep Mount Pearl safe. There was a question asked by one of the reporters, is Mount Pearl safe? Yes, Mount Pearl is safe. I walk the trails continual. I have never seen an issue in the city outside of, a few people hanging around and this kind of stuff, and maybe people mightn't find it safe. But, we're going to light up our trails, and we're going to make our trails safer, and we're going to do whatever we possibly can. Councillor Fry said, the big thing is, if we have an issue, if you see it, report it. Call the RNC. That's the right way to do it. If you call the RNC, you'll keep our city safe. And, I really believe that we have a safe city. We're doing the right things right. And that's all I want to talk about that. My last thing is to talk about, we just had a snowstorm, and our staff did a fabulous, fabulous job. But I'm sure other councillors already have got the calls, and I was just talking to our MEOs before I came in here. Contractors plowing snow on our roads. I don't know, I said to our MEOs, maybe we got to increase the fines, because these contractors plowing snow on the road, it makes a hindrance. It's a community, it's safety is a safe issue. And no matter our operators plow the road, and when 2 minutes later, these guys are plowing snow back on the road and making it unsafe. And our MEOs are dealing with it constantly. And, we have to stop that. People have to stop plowing snow on the roads. And that's everything for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Yep. Over to you, Councillor Antle, or Councillor Locke. Sorry about that.
Not to jump to queue, Councillor Rice, but I'm just curious because this is not the first time this issue has come up, and I may have asked this before, or maybe I didn't, but are they required to register with the city, those companies that want to perform this private snow clearing in the city? Is there some registry? Is that something we could look at to help regulate that, or is that too much of an administrative burden? Because again, it's not the first time we hear this regularly where they have disregard, and we all know if the consequence isn't firm enough and have enough teeth, it doesn't necessarily dissuade the behavior from happening.
I think on the face of it, I'm looking at Director Batt, we don't have a registry. And I do believe I'm seeing some body language that Councillor Locke might suggest that they might agree with you. It might go to practicality and enforceability, but I'd love to ban them. Is that too drastic? But it takes away a service for other people. But Director, where do you think? Where do you think we stand on this issue?
I think it's a really good point. It's certainly a nuisance when snow is pushed out into the roads, and not only that, for accessibility and, getting onto our sidewalks and and those types of things. But it'd be very hard to regulate and have a permit for those types of contractors, especially when you're getting into dictating who and who cannot do business in the private industry.
But I will say one thing, though. If it's Canada Post related, we have a protocol, I think, that goes to the Department of Public Works. If they're clearing, I'll say the community mailboxes, they're responsible for making sure they don't litter the road with snow afterwards, right? But, I'd love to see something where at this point now in our winter, like the city's doing, it's all lift in place. And that's the issue. But you got to be careful. It needs to be really thought out. Lift in place can cause problems too, because you might be lifting it on someone else's lawn. And I don't know where you end up going in terms of enforcement regulation to get to the root cause of the problem. Anyway, it's something we tolerate, but I'm very sympathetic to residents because the driveways get longer. The city's got to do more snow clearing. I just think they should be using backhoes. But do you want to look at it further, or we just get through winter first? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. And absolutely, I've seen some of the outcomes of having that out on our roads, and it absolutely causes safety hazards and accessibility hazards. It's also creating a balance because some of these services I know are being utilized with individuals that have accessibility issues, are seniors. Some of those, so it's a matter of we want to make sure people have the opportunity to privately get out of some of these, especially longer. I think in Park Avenue, some of the driveways in that area, and a lot of those are seniors that have been living there for a while, which 20 years ago would have been fine, but not right now for accessibility. So, yeah, I think it's a matter of where do we find the balance, because there is a need for individuals who cannot shovel or would be beyond, like you said, a front loader. So, yeah, I think at the very least, as like I said, if you see it, if you're seeing it around you, and just report it. And if you know the company, just report it. I think that's really important for us to gather at least that information. And just as Your Worship had mentioned, we've got a protocol when it comes to Canada Post. If we're seeing trends and the reports that come in is the same culprit, I mean, that's more information that we can go with and potentially action.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Fry.
It's not just contractors that put snow on the streets. Sometimes you see somebody with their snow blower and the spout is pointed right back out on the street. So maybe we need to do more social media awareness just to reiterate it and remind people, because it could be just something innocent, and not know the difference. But, not to belabor it, it's going to be hard to enforce, so maybe we just educate.
All right, moving on. Good discussion. Sounds like fireworks, doesn't it? Hey, almost the same issues, right? Over to you, Councillor Rice, please. You were finished, Councillor Antle, right? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to just mention about the community safety plan as well. I certainly support what we're doing here, and I think we're doing great work, and we've done great work, in the start leading up to it. And I've been thinking, about the cause and what we can do and stuff like that. And like Councillor Fry mentioned, reporting stuff right away, because that incident first started on Commonwealth Avenue. And it ended up on by Roosevelt Avenue, by Morris Academy, and then down St. David's Field. So, if we had to report that to people, at that business, those businesses on Commonwealth, and we had to get the people there first, or the RNC there, I guess, first, we probably could have stopped that. So reporting is so important, and moving forward to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen. That happened again. The second one I want to mention about is the. I just want to mention, actually, I had a good conversation with Director Batt on this one. Commonwealth Avenue, we got the road shut down on one lane on Commonwealth Avenue there now. and we had quite a bit of conversation on it. We had a lot of people comment on it. I had 4 phone calls on that, actually. The residents called me, and there was a lot of Facebook messages, blaming on the city and stuff like that. But just want to make a point here. The city, we have a concrete cavity underneath that road that carries all the cables for Bell Aliant, because we deal with Bell Aliant and we also deal with Light and Power and probably some other, communication people, probably Rogers and whatever. But we got to remember now, when that work was done over there on that street, we went back. Bell was the company that did that work, and when we went back to Bell, to tell them we had to get approval from them, from their engineer. I don't know if it was a miscommunication on their part or not, but they had to get a structural engineer to approve that before it could be reopened up. They don't have a structural engineer on staff, so it had to be subbed out to a structural engineering company. And right now, the engineering company got to work, and I don't know if the inspection has been done, but I know it's going to be finished up this week. I spoke to the engineering company myself that's doing the work. But I just want to, people are pointing the fingers at the city. It's not the city's fault. Even though, the communication part, we probably could have been a bit more, because I know it's been shut down for a long time now, but going back to Bell Aliant was the start of the communication, and then we had to wait the extra 4 weeks or 5 weeks for them to come back to us. So I just want to make that, communicate that, how that process went. So that's just so everybody know about it. Thank you.
No, thank you. Director, we were supposed to have that the end of January. Is it in?
The site visit is scheduled for tomorrow. There has been no date confirmed on when we will receive the report, but I typically would expect that to be 1 to 2 weeks, hopefully sooner. As you said, it was a cavity underneath the road that needs to be ensured that it was safe before it was opening, and that's what we're ensuring.
Okay, so it's supposed to be done by January 31st, not even done the inspection, and maybe done in a week or 2. There are concerns in the community. So here's the question. Can we find them? Because clearly they're delaying. We need to establish a date, which I think we had informally, but the question now is, because they're moving too slow, yet we want to reopen our road so it can be properly snow cleared and the like. Why can't we, is there something that's not in our development regulations to ensure this gets done? What's the incentive? Bell Aliant has got our Commonwealth Avenue at that end tied up needlessly, and I don't think they're looking out for the interests of our residents in our city. Any commentary from the directors or the CIO on that one?
I think it's a valid point. I don't think that there's an explicit fee under our rates and fees right now that we could apply. However, we can certainly take it away and look more into it. Ultimately, we're talking about a service level in response to opening our roads. So unfortunately, no response right now, but further investigation necessary if that's the direction of council.
Councillor Antle then. Thank you, CAO.
Just to back up Councillor Rice's comment. So I hear it too. I mean, we're all hearing these comments on Bell Aliant. I'm tired of hearing it. But one of the questions asked me, so if Bell Aliant tear up Commonwealth Avenue this week, can Light and Power do the same thing in another corner? I mean, this has gone so long. How come we got to be able to find them? I mean, we got to tell them to stop doing this. It makes the city look, that we're not doing our job. Like, we're hearing it from us like it's us, and it's not. But you know what I'm saying? Can we find these people enough that they won't do it again? Or no, Light and Power, can they come up and dig up the road next week and say, well, we're going to leave it alone for the winter too? It's frustrating, I know. I
I think
don't know
the
if
question
makes
about the fine is a good one. We're kind of working with each other here, but it's probably been answered. But what I'd ask staff to do, let's take it away, because your Newfoundland Power example, probably unfair to say Newfoundland Power, but it could be any contractor digging up a road. So let's take that away and see what we do in future, so that we're not ignored and that, people open up a road, that they close it. This happens more often than not with sanitary sewer replacement, I think. And I can tell you, Public Works, the UTM crew, they open up they open things up. If they need to get an engineering consult from Director Batt and his company, they do, and they've got the road closed up in jigs time, right? So I've never seen this happen here in the city, to be honest. And this council, I'm not going to ask for a motion. We'd like to see it done by the end of this week, to be honest. So if you need a letter from the mayor or a letter from the CAO to go to Bell and carbon copy who you need to, you have our support.
No, I just want to communicate on that, talk about that one more time. I think this is a one-off that got out of hand. And, during the Christmas time and not knowing that we had to get a structural inspection on it, from the city side. And we figured just the engineer from Bell Line would sign off. So here we are with it. So hopefully we get some satisfaction over the next week or so with it.
Thank you very much. Let's move over to Councillor Lane.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to talk about some exciting news that's starting now this week. Tomorrow is the opening ceremonies for our Frosty Festival. That too. So tomorrow night, St. David's Field. Sorry, I'm wrong. It's Thursday. Thursday at St. David's Field. I'm sure it will be cold, so make sure you bundle up, but it's always a great time. There'll be some hot chocolate there, some entertainment, and that's just the beginning. Everyone should certainly take a look at the large list of activities that we have coming up over the next couple of weeks. I know my kids are super excited and they're looking forward to it every year. So that's it.
Indeed, the weather arrived just in time, Councillor Lane. Over to you, Councillor Fry.
Well, it has to be frosty to have a frosty festival, right? Just a couple of things for me. I wanted to talk about the safety plan as well and just acknowledge the work of the community. And I say community because on the Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee, there were representatives from every aspect of the community, from councillors to RNC to our MEOs to the churches, the Chamber of Commerce, the Seniors Independence Group, youth and addictions workers, schools. Like it was a good representation. And also the Association for New Canadians. Every opinion and every view comes together to make a very, very informed plan. And the plan that is in place now, I mean, it's a start. It's certainly not, we're not finished. We're not done here. It's a start and it's a guide. And I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the work that was put into this by these incredible people in our community. The city can't do it alone. There are certain things that are outside our purview, and that's where we require provincial representation and in schools and others. So it's truly a community coming together to make this plan. And it was all led by one of our municipal enforcement officers, Constable Danielle Gravet. And she has done an extraordinary job. She has taken this leadership on this committee and with true professionalism. And, we owe her a lot of gratitude because she did a great job on this. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Director, if you could pass that along. And of course, I'd be remiss if I don't give a shout out to our municipal enforcement officers. I know they're not police officers, but they do an awful lot of work here in our city. And they're like our security on the ground almost 24/7. And they're always there if we need them. And that's an additional layer of security and safety that we have in Mount Pearl that we wouldn't have without them. So I just want to give them a shout out. As well, I just want to talk about the Frosty Festival with all the things that are coming up with our Frosty Festival. There are many, many events. There are ticketed events. There are a lot of free events. There are adult events, and there are a lot of family events. So look at the schedule and see what's on there. And I want to give a shout out to our community groups because a lot of our community groups are coming together to put off some of these events. And they're all volunteers and they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart and making this festival even bigger and better for our residents. So a big shout out to all of our community groups. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
See you at the festival. Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't repeat all the topics that have been covered. I agree with everything with respect to our safety well-being plan and Frosty Festival. But one thing I was going to bring this up, at our last meeting that unfortunately got canceled. So with the leave of council, it'll take a minute or so. And this has to do with the World Economic Forum in Davos some weeks back. And I know it got, widespread coverage throughout the world, but one in particular, I want to speak to some statements made by the head of the U.S. administration during that particular forum with respect to NATO, and that they took a back seat in in some of the wars and battles that have gone on. In particular, he mentioned Afghanistan. And I know the federal government has spoken out against this, and I know the provincial government has spoken out against this. But I want to take the time to acknowledge the fact that, as we know, 40,000 NATO soldiers responded after 9/11. And they answered the call, and they went overseas, and they stood shoulder to shoulder with our American friends. And of those 40,000, 158 made the ultimate sacrifice. So they died in battle. And one of those was our very own Warrant Officer Richard Nolan. So when I heard the head of the U.S. administration make those comments that we took a back seat, I couldn't help but think of my high school friend, Ricky, as we called him, and the sacrifice that he made. And he left behind three young sons and a young daughter and a wife. And for the last 19 years, I have hugged his mother at our Remembrance Day services over at St. David's Park. So as a community leader in the city of Mount Pearl, for the benefit of the Nolan family, I just want to make sure that we honor and respect the sacrifice that all of our soldiers make, all of our service people make on a daily basis. They have made. And I certainly want to acknowledge the work and the courage and bravery and the sacrifice of Warrant Officer Richard Nolan. Thank you, Mayor.
You should never comment on anything unless you really know it, you've lived it and you've experienced it. And I thank you for your comments because vicariously you lived it. Over to you, Deputy Mayor.
Well said, Councillor Locke. Just wanted to say that. And it goes to show that when we talk about things that are happening in our community and things that impact us, especially a time, this month is Violence Prevention Month. We're making awareness of the awareness of the work that we're doing to combat violence. When we're thinking about, we just launched a community well-being plan. What we're seeing on the world stage does impact us here. Its impact is individuals. So, all I can say is that we all should be listening as residents, as a council, as province, and as a country. Just 2 items for me, Your Worship. First, we, of course, people are mentioning it, Frosty Festival. I just wanted to give some good news to give you an idea of how important, how successful this year is going to be. Our community is showing incredible support this year, and tickets are flying. So sold out events right now, just FYI. Bingo Bonanza, Snowball Dinner and Dance, Drag Bingo, and thank you to who's already grabbed their tickets. It's going to be an amazing celebration, and don't worry, there's still time to join the fun. There's many community organizations that are doing things, free events as well, and tickets are still available. So grab yours today and purchase them on right now on Eventbrite. Our social media has some connections. Our website has some connections to that. The other item is in relation to our launch today. So as I had mentioned, what a great month to launch a community well-being plan, but in Violence Prevention Month. And I just wanted to focus, everybody had some incredible points, and I think there's many things people have seen the benefits of and what needs to be pointed out in regards to this plan. One of the key pinnacles I believe is trust and collaboration. When I was in the room and listening, and everyone here was, in the room listening to the sentiments, and some of them very visceral, and some of them very emotional and personal from residents. In those moments, as a council, and if we're doing our work and we're being stewards, we bear witness, and a part of that is active listening, and then there's a trust that we take those piece of information, those stories and personal, and truly make them a part of this plan. And I think that's so important to say that this plan is not ours. It's not one individual's, it's not one group's, but it is the community's. And we honor that through the process here to ensure community organizations or events. And trust is so important. Many of our organizations, I think of the LGBTQ community, I think of our new Canadians coming in. There's many years beyond what has happened that really began the work of this through the open forum we had. But the work around trusting and understanding that groups that have been marginalized and directly impacted in violence in ways that are unfair, unjust, and unequal, this plan really also identifies that. And we've been doing this as a municipality, outside the capital city. We've joint coordination with the Committee of First Light. We have hired an accessibility and diversity and inclusion coordinator, Brianna Pelly, who's already doing incredible work and starting programs. I saw just yesterday advertised on our Facebook site. And this is what we're saying is this is a holistic program, and we as a community, I know has put the trust in the organization in the city to do the work. And we also have trusted those to come together, share, and commit. And so as we move forward, I think that's an important value. And when we talk about our moral character, our moral, those sort of pieces to that, I think trust and collaboration is a part of that, and working with the diversity of this beautiful community and organizations and people that are within it.
Thank you, and well said. Folks, that brings us pretty close to the end of the meeting, but I just wanted to just throw out some kudos to everybody in this room, on the council side for your support, your dedication, on the staff side for all your hard work, and I mean everybody in the room, and there's others I know, but for the moment, here's where we are. The community safety plan is not just about an initiative. It's not necessarily the rolling out of a program. It's all about incorporating change. And I think to the deputy mayor's point just now, that change through collaboration is the only way it's going to work. We cannot do this in a silo. We have to do it working with others. But I'd like to end the meeting on a real positive note. It was a great day for announcing the plan, but also to thank staff for all the hard work that's gone into it, and to wish you well, because there's a lot of hard work going to come of it, right? But again, thank you, everybody. Congratulations. And we'll close the meeting on a motion. Thank you, Councilor